I wanted to jump on and to the recent article that came out a couple of weeks ago regarding coconut oil. Is it healthy or not? If you're catching this on the replay, thanks for watching. My name is Amanda Nyberg. I'm a registered dietitian specializing in bariatric and weight loss nutrition. And my goal is to enthusiastically empower people who want to get back on track and take control of their health through weight loss and wellness. I want to provide you with accurate nutritional information, but I want to simplify it. I want to teach you cutting edge nutritional strategies that are going to give you results, but that are sustainable for life. So a couple weeks ago, USA Today came out with the sensationalized headline, "Coconut oil isn't healthy, it's never been healthy." And boy, did this start a firestorm. As someone that recommends the use of coconut oil on a daily basis, I received a lot of emails and a lot of calls from my clients and patients saying, "Hey, what's up? Should I stop using coconut oil?" So I wanted to kind of break down the article, and I wanted to tell you why I'm still using coconut oil and will continue to do so in the future. So the article was written in response to the recent republication of the American Heart Association's guidelines regarding fat. And basically, the American Heart Association is just rehashing their old school guidelines with regards that fat and cholesterol negatively impact your heart health. And they're taking a very complicated matter and oversimplifying it because it's just not that simple. So what's the deal? So the deal is that the truth kind of lies in the middle. So basically, the guidelines are based on the fact that if you eat a diet with fat in it, specifically they're saying saturated fat, that increases your cholesterol. And if you have high cholesterol, that's an indicator of heart health. And unfortunately, we know that to not be the case. So they're oversimplifying this cause and effect and therefore villainizing something like saturated fat. So let's talk about cholesterol. What is cholesterol? Is cholesterol bad for you? So cholesterol is a fat-like substance in the body, and it's actually essential to your health. You need cholesterol. It's important in your cells. It helps to make hormones. We need it, okay? The problem with cholesterol comes with the vessel in which carries it throughout the body, and that's lipoproteins. So you have high density lipoproteins, HDLs, good cholesterol, and you have low density lipoproteins, LDLs, bad cholesterol. And again, that's oversimplifying the matter. We now know that LDLs come in different sizes, and it's more important to understand the size of your LDLs in terms of heart health than your actual overall number. So LDLs there are small LDLs, which are bad for you. They negatively impact your health. They clump together, they clog your arteries, they create the plaque. So that's not good. You don't want a lot of small LDLs. But there are also large, fluffy LDLs that are actually good for you. They don't clog your arteries. They kind of bounce off and go through the arteries without any issues. So to sit there and look at your cholesterol numbers, your total cholesterol, which is just the sum of your HDLs and your LDLs, is not going to give you the big picture. So the next time that you have your cholesterol checked, I encourage you to insist on having your lipid particle size testing done so you can see if you have a lot of small LDLs, which is not good, or do you have a lot of large LDLs that are good. So we can't simplify high cholesterol is bad for you. Just because you have high cholesterol does not mean that your heart is sick. Now, this is where actually saturated fat, coconut oil, can shine, because research shows that saturated fat actually increases the size of your LDL. So that's good. Saturated fat is going to produce bigger LDL, which again is going to make you healthier. Now, the biggest issue I had with these recommendations that they made is that they're telling us to get rid of saturated fat, which is all natural, found in nature. We've been eating it since the beginning of time, and they're telling us to replace it with polyunsaturated fat, which is highly processed, highly inflammatory, and well documented to not be good for us. So let's talk about polyunsaturated fats. So polyunsaturated fats, these are found in abundance in like vegetable and seed oils, canola oil, soybean oil, things like that. And ironically, we know that the rise of the consumption of polyunsaturated fats and the decline of the consumption of saturated fats is well correlated with the current health epidemics that we face. So, for example, chronic diseases that were epidemics were rare occurrences until the mid-20th century. So heart disease came to rise in the 1930s, obesity in the 1980s, and diabetes in the 1990s. And according to Dr. Stephen Guyeuna, I don't know his name, but he's the author of The American Diet, the rise of these highly preventable health conditions coincides with the gradual replacement of saturated fats with polyunsaturated fats, specifically butter to margarine. So one of the things that I always tell my clients, because it's really hard to get people to not fear fat because we've been ingrained and we continue to be ingrained that fat's bad for us. But one of the things that I tell my clients is like, think about how your great-great-grandmother used to cook. She probably had a bucket of really quality lard in her kitchen. She definitely had a stick of good butter on her table. She probably ate a lot of foods high in saturated fats and cholesterol, like eggs and bacon and sausage. She definitely weighed 105 pounds and she probably lived to be 105 years old. So there's a lot to be said about the way that we were eating and the way that we were cooking and the radical shift that we made with regards to our recommendations, low fat, high carb, and the decline in our health. It went way down. So when we look at polyunsaturated fats, okay, so the American Heart Association is basically saying that, they're good for you. And yes, they are, okay? So polyunsaturated fats include omega-3 fatty acids, which we know are really good for us. They reduce inflammation in the body. We want to consume a lot of those. But polyunsaturated fats also include omega-6 fatty acids, which are not necessarily all bad, but omega-6 fatty acids produce more inflammation in the body, and you need to be more conscious of how much you're consuming. So it's really the ratio of 3 to 6 that's really important. Now, the ideal ratio of 6 to 3 is 4 to 1. Okay? Currently in the standard American diet, I call it the SAD diet because it's really sad. And the fact that we consume so much processed food, one study shows that 20% of the American calories on a daily basis come from soybean oil because that's how much we use in all the processed foods. So 20% of your calories are coming from unhealthy polyunsaturated fats. That our current ratio is estimated to be anywhere between 12 to 1 to 25 to 1. And that's our issue with chronic inflammation and, chronic disease, heart disease, diabetes, and things like that. So the bottom line is that, again, the American Heart Association continues to oversimplify the matter. So when you think about incorporating fats into your diet, use them in moderation. But I highly recommend that you focus on consuming good fats in your diet and eliminating bad fats in your diet. And one of the things that I teach my clients, how do you know if it's a good fat or a bad fat? It's very simple. Good fats are found in nature. They're not highly processed. They're readily available and they have been for decades and centuries. Bad fats are man-made. We love to screw it up. So anything that's highly processed, like vegetable oils and seed oils, these are easily oxidized. They become rancid very quickly, and they induce chronic inflammation in the body. So yes, I will continue to cook with coconut oil, but in moderation. I will definitely continue to use good quality extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to use it in my cold settings, and I'm going to use it on my low temp cooking. There's one research study that shows that consuming up to 1 liter of olive oil a day is good for you. That's good news. Olive oil adds tons of flavor to your food. And then I'm going to consume healthy quality butter. Butter does not come in a plastic container. If it says butter on the outside of a plastic container, they've added canola oil to make it spreadable. So I encourage you to think about where some of this research is coming from. One of the things that concerns me the most about organizations like the American Heart Association is the bias in which they create. I want you to think about this. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, had you ever heard of coconut oil? I had not. I had not used it. It was not readily available on the market. Nowadays, coconut oil is everywhere. It's taking up a lot of room on the grocery shelf. So, ironically, 2 members of the Nutritional Advisory Council on the American Heart Association are members of the U.S. Canola Association. So, who's being negatively impacted by the rise of coconut oil? Because the American Heart Association, they didn't just say saturated fat is bad for you. They went specifically to coconut oil is bad for you. And I have to think that because of the influence that they have of these 2 representatives on their council, that information is biased. In addition to the support they get from Big Pharma, who definitely want you to take a statin because they want you to think that high cholesterol is bad for you, and they want you on a statin because that's good for them. So you have to be conscious of where some of this research is coming from. And that's why, again, I want to provide you with accurate nutritional information, and I want to simplify it. I want to try to take out the bias of it. So that's my stance on coconut oil. It's not that bad for you. If you've got questions about your health conditions, if you want help in terms of, what you should be eating, because the nutritional information is so skewed out there, I want to help you. Go to my website. Let's sign up for a free consult. I'd love to talk to you. If you found this information helpful and beneficial, I encourage you to use the share button below and share it with your friends and family. I hope you guys have an amazing Saturday and a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to talking to you all real soon. Bye-bye.